The Next Shelter Network presents an Appalachian Trail interview series, 2024 edition. This is a platform for hikers to share their hearts, minds, and experiences. These interviews are hosted by yours truly, Trevor Hendry, otherwise known as Bear. Now to the interview. Sweet. So we are live and we are talking with Yohan and Erica, and they are going to be starting relatively soon, a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, on the 17th of February.
17th of February. Yeah, that's coming up. We're in crunch time right now. What has that process been like for you? Because I know when we were talking earlier, you were saying how you're running around like crazy trying to, get things ready. Both of you are from what you told me, both of you have your own deal or your own place and you're getting rid of those. So, can you
Yeah.
explain some of that to me?
Okay, so I've been kind of back and forth with whether or not I was gonna hike the AT. Um, I have my own place. Erica has her own place, and I finally decided, and committed to, taking this venture and really kind of, embracing the challenges of it. So Erica's a lot more experienced than I am when it comes to hiking and it comes to the woods and stuff. I am a city boy. I lived in major cities my pretty much my entire adult life. So the extent of my knowledge of the woods goes back to when I was a Cub Scout and I went on a camping trip. So this is going to be kind of cool and kind of new for me. Um, so you know, we've been doing a lot of research on the type. Well, Erica kind of already has a lot of knowledge about this, so she's kind of educated me on the type of gear and what I need and what it's going to be like. Setting up the tent, working the stove and stuff like that. So I've been kind of doing a lot more preparing, mentally and just to kind of um, get an idea, and obviously, it's like it's kind of like playing a sport. You really don't know the outcome until you're going to get out there, right? So, so that's what the process has been like, and we decided to just let's take the leap. Let's leave Florida. Let's get rid of our places and let's just go on this adventure, be homeless for a little bit and then decide, where we're going to go after that. One thing that we do have in common, even though we're so different, is that we're both veterans,
Yeah.
so, we have a little bit of experience on, dealing with certain elements of life that we are forced to kind of adapt to, so um, that's pretty much where I'm at with how this process has been for Erica and I.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, it's been crazy. Like we've been going through trying to like make sure he has all of his gear squared away. I've been making some gear upgrades, so it's just like ordering and making sure everything gets here on time. Like we both have orders like right now that are supposed to be coming in like this week, later this week. And those are our last gear items for this trip. But at the same time, I'm selling my house. I'm in the process of like selling it. I close in like a week, and I have to figure out moving all of my stuff and getting all that taken care of and all the legal mumbo jumbo along with selling a house. And Johan's having to clean out his apartment, and it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And y'all just said a lot there. So first of all, one thing that I didn't do in the beginning is just thank you for your time because I know time is of essence and it's precious right now.
Yeah.
Um, where you guys at in Florida?
We're in Cocoa. Well, just a little north of Cocoa right now.
Yeah, which is like it's Brevard County. It's to be a little bit more, it's right where the Kennedy Space Center is at.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale. I spent most of my life down there, so
Yeah.
yeah, way down south. So just to clarify, you guys are a couple, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's one thing on trail that I always find myself having to ask because in the beginning you'll find yourself like you'll just see random pairings of people and
Yeah.
Right.
and in your muggle brain, as I call it, will think, oh, they must be a couple, and then you just realize, oh, they're just hiking together.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify that. Johan, that's really interesting, the boat you're in.
Hmm.
Uh, because I would say the majority of people who find themselves on the Appalachian Trail or about to do the Appalachian Trail, this has been something that they've had in mind for a long time. It's
Hmm.
a passion of
Hmm.
theirs.
Hmm.
And when you ask people who have done the trail, it's they generally describe it as something that they love, something that they've been thinking about for years.
Hmm.
But you don't find yourself in that boat. This is new to you.
It's very
You're
yeah.
so how do you get to that place? Because Eric, from my conversations with Erica prior,
Hmm.
she'd done a good bit of this trail, so she can tell you firsthand, like,
Right.
it ain't a walk in the park. It's not a walk in the woods, Bill
Right.
Bryson.
Right.
So how do you get yourself to that place to say, you know what, I'm jumping in the deep end. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and that's been kind of my experience in a lot of the ventures that I've I've done. I just when I decide to do something, I just do it. So not only are we like preparing our gear, but pretty much every day we're following other hikers, we're watching YouTube videos. I'm getting a sense of kind of like, like what it's like for other people. I'm paying attention to like the pace that people are walking, kind of like some people are faster than others. I'm a very slow, kind of mover, so I'm going into this like very slowly. I'm doing it, but my plan is to just really kind of just ease my way into it, not do too much too fast, because we have all the time, right? So it's just something that you know I take day by day, and just see how it goes and make adjustments where I need to make adjustments, and just kind of have fun with it.
So what's the thing that puts you over the edge to commit to this, right? Is there any one thing in particular that you can say or that you remember? Was there a moment in time, or is this kind of just you wanting to take part in an adventure with your partner?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the adventure part, um, but it's also kind of like you know kind of realizing that even though I see like older people doing and completing these the hikes and stuff like that, I'm at an age where I want to do it while I can. you know um I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker for a long time, and I made the decision a few months ago, or about like maybe 6 months ago, to just quit my job and just do what I want to do, and you know and just and live my life and be happy. I wasn't really satisfied with my work anymore, so and I didn't think it was fair, really, not just to myself, but to the people who I was working with, that I was just going into like different sessions and different calls mechanically, not really providing the service that people deserve. So for me, when I quit my job, it was the best decision I ever made. And going back and forth between the hike and everything like that, I finally said, you know what, let's do it. Let's go, and let's try something new. Let's try something different, at least for me.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Erica, over to you. I mentioned a little bit of your experience on the trail prior. Tell us about that.
So I did what turned out to be a lash in 2021. I went from Georgia through most of Virginia. I stopped in the Virginia Triple Crown, or I think it was right before McAfee's Knob. It was after Dragons Tooth, whatever mileage that is, 700 something. Um,
Four Pines there.
yeah, yeah. But that's where I got off last time. And I was hiking with someone else last time, and they wanted to get off the trail, and we were hiking together. Um, and so it's always been in my mind, in the back of my mind. I want to do it again. I want to do the whole thing. I want to finish it. Um, and so that's what this has really been for me. I've been planning this trip for a while, and yeah, I think the main thing that got me into it was just really my sense of adventure. And I grew up in the woods, and I love the outdoors, and it's something I always wanted to do.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Georgia originally,
Okay.
like South Georgia.
Hmm. Yeah. What do you think has been the one thing that's, if not just one thing, what's stuck with you most since your hike? Because you got a very large sample size of the trail, right? Um,
Absolutely.
you've it, I mean, I would say generally it takes only really a couple of weeks to get into your routine, and then from there on, it's just doing the same thing over and over again. So you pretty much know everything that it would take to through hike. What's stuck with you from that hike?
Think just the being out there, it's a sense of freedom that you don't get anywhere else. You don't have all of the same responsibilities of everyday life. Well, most people that are out there don't. I didn't when I was out there. I'm not, paying a power bill and trying to do all of these other things and making sure this is taken care of. I'm just I'm worried about what I have while I'm on trail. I'm worried about what's in my backpack, not 100 other things. It's just a simplified way of life, and I love that. I love the views. I'm in it for the views 100%. Um, I get to the top of the mountains. That's my favorite.
Yeah. So how long have you two been together now?
We've been together like 6 months now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I'm curious because from couple to couple, this ranges, right? How you interact with one another, what the dynamics are in your relationship. At 6 months, y'all haven't been together forever. You're still relatively new. You're still in the honeymoon phase of dating. Do you have are you excited? Are you nervous about that as it pertains to the dynamics of your relationship? Do you feel like it could strengthen your relationship? What's your mindset as far as like going into this as a couple?
For me, like I think we're already like best friends. We spend a lot of time together already.
Hmm.
Neither one of us are working right now. We're just getting ready for all of this, and we have a bunch of other stuff going on. But neither one of us are working, so we spend a lot of our time together. Um, and I think it's our personalities that gives me a lot of confidence in it. We're both very relaxed people. We don't really like to argue. Like we're not the type to yell at each other. We're very, if something comes up, we can handle it. We're capable of having those adult conversations, those hard conversations. So I'm not quite as worried about that, because I know some days are going to be hard. Some days we're not going to be in the best moods. But I think that both of us have a pretty overall positive attitude, and we've seen each other in some rough situations, even though it's only been 6 months. So
Yeah. A lot can happen in 6 months. Like I said, I met my wife on the trail, and it's same thing, really. Like I was there with her every day. You guys are with each other every day, all day, it sounds like now. So yeah, I mean, 6 months can feel like a long time. And so what are your thoughts, Johan?
Well, a lot of people, they really kind of, looked at the journey as, it's going to take 6 months, it's going to take 5 months, 7 months, whatever. When I look at the trail, I don't look at it in terms of it's going to be 6 months long. you know I always kind of look at, a little bit like what's in front of me. Okay, let me get to 2 weeks, let me get to 30 days, let me get to 45 days. you know um And again, going into this, being very patient with myself, because this is new to me. There, not to get frustrated when things go wrong. Knowing that I'm already expecting it to be difficult. you know so approaching it and being patient with myself, and breaking a 6 month journey into little spats, just to allow myself to kind of enjoy it. Okay, I made it 6 weeks. I do CrossFit, regularly. So everything in CrossFit, is usually measured by time. You have 8 minutes to do this, you have maybe 16 minutes to do that. And I've also been in situations where, you know, I if I was on a deployment, and it was 4 months, and I'm like, oh God, I got 4 months of this. So I had to kind of learn how to kind of break up my time, to allow myself to be patient with myself through the process. And I think from what I see, there have been people who kind of push themselves a little bit too hard in the beginning, and so I don't really like look at it as kind of like a race, or anything like that. I just want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, having fun is the priority while taking this journey.
Yeah. As far as worldviews are concerned, right? Like you come from a different background, right? You mentioned that you're kind of your city dude, and like hiking the AT, 10, 15 years ago probably would have been the last thing that you would imagined.
Mm.
Do you feel like your time in the service kind of was the kind of the catalyst or kind of the bridge to, because when you join a service, not that I would know anything personally about it, but I can, as far as I understand, you're getting a lot of exposure to different things, different
Mm.
places, different people.
Right.
Do you feel like your time in there might have helped with a transition like this, because it's a major transition?
100%. I found myself, not just even after the service, in situations where, I had to deal with a lot. I had my tolerance meter had to really kick in to just deal with what was in front of me. So, um, and I always say this. I always say that, the military has really been the catalyst for my ability to be able to deal with difficult situations.
Mhm.
So I really do credit my time in the service on being able to accomplish, you know, the things that I've had to accomplish in life.
Were you both in the same branch or?
No.
No, he was Air Force and I was Navy.
Okay. All right. So we're dealing with smart people here. Okay.
It's funny.
What are your thoughts on that, Erica? Where we were just talking about.
Which part of it?
Just now, granted, you have kind of a larger tool belt specific to the Appalachian Trail, but all of your cumulative experiences in life, and you can maybe venture outside of the military, because you said like you've been, the outdoors isn't new to you. How do you feel like those cumulative experiences have helped you with this journey?
I think, I don't know. I think I grew up like hunting and fishing, and like me and my dad like always spent time together when I was a kid. So I think that helped a lot. My dad used to take me camping, so I love the outdoors, and I love like making the campfires, and I grew up on like a little farm, so we were always doing outdoor stuff. But it was in South Georgia where there's no mountains; it's flat there. But we would take trips to the mountains like once a year or every other year or something when I was a kid, and I loved it. And I always loved going to the mountains. And as I got older, like it was something that I had thought about before, like the Appalachian Trail. I actually lived up close to where the NOC is for a little while. Um,
Bryson City, that area.
so I or like around like where Hiawassee and stuff is, Hayesville area.
Hmm.
Um, and I used to do like Blood Mountain on the weekends and stuff. And so I would meet hikers, and I was like, man, this is like such a cool thing that these people are doing. But I never like really thought I would have like 6 months to take to go do something like that anytime soon. But I went into the military, and I love that. And I actually, I think it was 2019, I was diagnosed with MS. I have multiple sclerosis. And when that happened, it kind of put some things into perspective for me. I was medically retired, and I was like, man, I want to do some things. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to one day. So the Appalachian Trail like became really high on my priority list after that.
How was your experience with that in your on your long lash with dealing with something physically that's you know
It was a little difficult. I'm not gonna lie. There were some days that were a little more difficult, but I'm a very like hard-headed, determined person. And I do know to take breaks when I need it, and I did that last time. When something got a little, I was getting a little too fatigued or something was feeling off. I would just like he was saying, have patience with myself, because it was easy to get frustrated because there were a lot of hikers that were faster than me. And I don't plan on being a super fast hiker this time, but I do plan on making it. I hope to make it. But yeah, it's just it was difficult. I didn't have any like major episodes. I'm on a really good medication now, so it's pretty well under control. And I actually have to get it every 6 months, and it's kind of why we're starting when we're starting because I get my medication like right before we go, and then I'll have 6 months before I have to be back for another one. So that's kind of why the timing is in February as well.
okay, yeah. Describe that experience when you're having to slow down your pace, right? You're listening to your body, but you've got all these college kids zooming past you on the trail. Or every once in a while you'll get that 70-year-old that's just,
Yeah.
he's pulling 25, 30-mile days, and you're just like, man, you're humbling me right now. Describe what your mind goes through in that moment, because we all have an ego, or we all have a sense of pride,
Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes we associate that with miles in a day. Sometimes it's the speed at which we're hiking. Just describe that process for you and how you accepted it.
I think it was eventually I just came to accept. I felt like I was having more fun than a lot of them were. I was taking more time to smell the roses. I was taking more time to enjoy the viewpoints. Like I felt like I tried to get the absolute most out of it that I could. And so that's kind of how I started looking at it. Instead of that I was slower than them, but maybe I was enjoying it a little more than they were.
Yeah, so smiles over miles.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I had a question. I just had a thought and it just completely vanished. Oh, I know where I was going with it. So you mentioned you would hike Blood Mountain. You'd be up in northern Georgia, Hiawassee, and that whole area, which is great hiking, by the way. I love that area. It's like, relative to other parts of the trail, it's like you're walking on clouds.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Uh, you're meeting through hikers for the first time, and there's almost this lore, I don't know, this energy around through hikers, especially you're not being a through hiker. You're looking at them, you're just like, wow, these people, they're doing this whole thing. What was that like? What was that like for you? Take me back to when you were meeting those strange hikers.
Honestly, at first, I was like, these people are hiking the whole trail because like I don't know. I guess in my mind, I expected people that hike the trail to be like these extreme athletes. They were going to be like tip top, like, marathon running shape and stuff. But I saw like these college kids of all shapes and sizes and people of all ages and stuff. And so it was a little like, huh, if they can do it, then like maybe I can do this one day. And it made it seem more attainable, I guess. But seeing that they were getting to do that and getting to stay out there and not having to go home at the end of the day after their hike, that was really appealing to me.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are in a similar boat in life. They're either settled down, they have a lot of possessions, whether it's a home and, like in your case, an apartment, um, and they don't see a way in which they'd be able to absolve themselves of whatever responsibilities they have, jobs. You mentioned that you guys both just stopped working, and I mean, that to me is like, oh yeah, of course he did. But to a lot of people, they're especially some of the older folks watching right now, they're saying, wow, they just up and left? Like, how do you do that? So, can you just walk me through some of what that whole process has been like for y'all? Just, the nitty gritty, the logistics involved with selling a house. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, since we're both veterans, we actually both have like paychecks that we get still from the military and stuff from being in the military. So we do have some money every month that makes it easier for us not to have to work. So there's that. Uh, but the rest of it's really like I'm kind of a minimalist anyways. I don't like having a whole lot of stuff. I'm the type of person that, like, when I move, instead of like carrying all of my stuff with me, I'll just get rid of everything and get it again. And I think some of that was from being in the military and from moving so much, like just getting tired of moving so many things all the time, and you just don't get attached to things anymore.
Would you say you're in the same camp, Johan?
Well, in terms of the the way that we both live, like I personally will never buy a home, because I like to up and leave when I want, so I've always rented. I will always rent, and because and just looking at the process that Erica had to go through was just, it was frustrating, because you know there wasn't a lot of time, and I was really worried that she was not going to sell her house. I
Yeah.
have an apartment. I can just leave,
Yeah, we've
you
been
know.
planning February 17th before my house was under contract, so we didn't know that it was actually going to be able to happen on time.
Right. So
Wow.
so over the years, I've just had different apartments, and when I get new apartments, I get new stuff. So I get rid of everything I have, and then if I get a new apartment, I'll just get some, furniture and stuff like that to live, So, in that sense, I'm also very much of a minimalist, So I don't need a lot of space. I get a little one bedroom. It's very quaint, and and that'll probably be, well, with Erica, we'll probably get a two bedroom. So,
Don't splurge now.
so
That's just
yeah,
in case family wants to visit. That's
yeah. So
yeah.
so in terms of that, for me, it's always very, very easy for me to pick up and go, and I spent a few years in India. I spent 7 years in Philadelphia. I spent 7 years here, and now I'm ready to embrace my next adventure and see where we end up.
Yeah, we actually don't know where we're going to go after the trail. We don't know where we're going
Perfect.
to
Y'all,
end up.
y'all got a long time to figure that out.
Yeah,
And lucky for you, Johan, you've got 200 different places that you can stay. I mean, depending on how many days you're out on trail, you're going to be in a new place every night.
yeah,
That's the beauty of it, really. You said India.
yeah. I spent some time in India. It's actually where I kind of like picked up social work and stuff like that. India is a very intimidating place. It's a very scary place. It's not what you see on TV. There's people everywhere. So I was born there, but I grew up in New Jersey since I was a small child. I was adopted from an orphanage. I was brought here, and I grew up in New Jersey, right? So, growing up, I was not attached or knowledgeable about my culture. I didn't speak the language. My dad, he was from Florida. He passed 10 years ago, but he was from Florida, so I didn't know anything. Up until, like, I started getting Indian friends when I was older, and I would look at their parents and this, that, and the third. So when I went there, um, I had to learn how to get around. I had to learn at least a little bit of the language. I knew enough to get by, and by the time I was done and by the time I moved to Philadelphia, I had to learn in so many words how to be an American again, if that makes sense. I had to. It was a bit of a culture shock because I was there for so long and I was kind of used to the lifestyle in India. So when I came back, I had to learn how to ride the subway. I had to learn how to move around in the city in Philly. So it's been it's every place I go, it's always a learning process, on how to navigate my way to live, and so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, anytime you leave the US and you go to another place and you come back, it's always a culture shock because the US is very,
That's different.
um, it's manic in a different way than I would imagine India would be.
Mhm.
You get, but culturally, they're very different, right? They have
Yeah.
certain social structures in India that I admire. I've always apprecited certain aspects of it. There are others that as far as, vocations and
Mhm.
how highly they esteem certain things like that, I probably wouldn't do as well with. But I think the social structures of families, I just think there's a lot to admire there. So
Yeah.
that's cool that you got to kind of get back in touch with your
Yeah,
roots.
it was an interesting experience to say the least.
Yeah. So you're starting start at ground zero here with the preparation and the gear. Has Erica been a big part of recommendations, or is
Oh,
it her
absolutely.
and YouTube, or how's
Yeah,
that been for you?
absolutely. You know, most of the gear that she has is already here. So, she, would say, this is how this works, this is how you sleep,
Yeah.
this is the pad that you get, this is the pillow, this is the pad, this is, how you pack your pack and stuff like that. And I actually tried the pack on like a week ago, when I was getting sized for it, and kind of just to get a feel of like, you know, um, how it's gonna feel, and to be honest, it felt kind of heavy. So, it's something that I'm probably gonna, have to get used to. So,
In all
uh,
fairness, the pack he tried on, I think, is heavier than the one he's going to get, though.
right.
And we've really tried to focus on having the right gear but light gear. So I think that's going to help.
Are you
Yeah.
going from Osprey to Hyperlight or something like that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Absolutely, that's actually what it was. It was an REI for Osprey, and he's getting a hyperlight pack. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Very nice.
I think like anything else, everything is routine, right? If you do things enough, you get faster at it. You get better at it. It becomes more of just a habit for you to be able to do things. So, and like again, being patient with myself, and I know that eventually I may be a little bit slow at it at first, but eventually, I'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of thinking in the beginning, right? You're thinking about everything you're doing, everything seems mechanical, and
Mhm.
then you become so just ingrained into the routine, and then you don't even think about anything you do anymore. After a certain point, you're just doing it. You're just out there hiking and camping and sleeping and eating and digging cat holes, and that's it. So
I mean,
yeah.
I've talked to a couple of people who have done it. Like my sister's had She's had friends who've done it. I've never met a person who's done it, even if they haven't finished it, who said that it wasn't amazing. I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about, hiking the Appalachian Trail or just hiking in general. You know, it's funny. We went to Colorado and we hiked this hill. It was going up and I remember always, I saw a video of, and you probably remember this, a video of this hiker or this runner who was being followed by a mountain lion, right? So I just kept looking back just to check, like make sure I wasn't being stalked or anything. So I find humor in a lot of things also. So, I plan to hopefully carry that with me, but yeah, that was pretty
That's cool. Yeah, that's big. That's actually a big thing. It's a big controversy now. They say that the mountain lion still exists on the East Coast, but nobody could get trail cam footage of it. So it's kind of this
Down in
myth.
Florida, supposedly we have them though.
They do. Yeah, they do, but they're definitely yeah, they're smart about how they travel.
Nobody
so
much.
so what are y'all's expectations really, if you have any, for this hike? Obviously you don't know where you're going to end up after, which is cool, but in terms of how you feel like this hike will influence you in your life, h- what's kind of going through your mind pertaining to that?
Well, for me, I think the thing that concerns me the most about this hike is how I'm going to take care of my body, and I from what I understand, the way that the terrain is, there are going to be muscles that I really haven't used a lot, probably in just every day, so I've been kind of like researching on different ways how to stretch those muscles, how to kind of and that's something that I really you know want to take part in. So I mean, I don't have any expectations in terms of you know I'm a see it to believe it kind of person. I don't believe it until it happens. So whatever I have to face out there, or have to deal with, it's just something that I'm gonna have to deal with, in that moment, So I do expect it to be difficult. I expect to be challenged, um, but I also expect to have fun while I'm doing it. I mean, that's if you, I mean, if I mean, is this for anything? If you go into anything like shit, man, I don't want to do this, then it's not going to be enjoyable, and I think that you're doing a disservice to yourself if you go in like that, so
Yeah. What
yeah.
about you, Erica?
um, I'm just excited the whole way around. I forgot what the original question was.
Your expectations for the journey. Do you feel like, this trail is gonna change you, or how do you feel like it's gonna affect you?
I feel like the trail already ruined my life. No, I'm just kidding by that. But it
Nice.
made me really see things differently. It made me care about different things. I mean, just from the first time doing it, it made me like have different goals in life, maybe even. Um, I definitely, it made me want to travel more. It made me want to live like a more traveling type of lifestyle. It kind of opened my mind to a lot of different people and like a lot of different types of lifestyles because there's a lot of like nomadic type people. You don't have to stay in one place anymore if you don't want to. So it's really interesting. And I think just having the peace out there and it not having all of the daily stressors and the hustle and bustle and just everything being taken back to the basics. It's something that I didn't really want to have to leave, you know?
Yeah. So we are going to catch up again at some point. Definitely once you get up this way. Like I said, I live 20 minutes away from Harper's Ferry, Front Royal. So the idea is that we'll get together in person and we'll do a live interview.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this experiment, and so what it, the premise of it is I want you to talk to your future self. And so I'm going to show you this you know brief little video when we meet again, and I'm sure we will. If you had to say anything to your future selves at that point in your hike, what would you say?
Hmm.
It's gonna be worth it.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think I um hmm. Remember what you went through to get here.
Yeah, like it will be worth it.
Absolutely. Remember how it felt last time that you left the trail? You don't want to do that again. You don't want to do that. Just keep going. It's gonna be hard, but just finish it.
That's awesome. Do you guys have any kind of timeline, or is it all just up to?
No, like I said, I have like my medication every 6 months. So hopefully it happens within 6 months. But even if for some reason it extends past that, I still plan on completing it. We'll come back and I'll get my infusion and then go back out again if we have to. Like my goal is to finish it this time.
Gotcha. And would you say it sounds like you have a deep kind of resolve to and determination to finish it? Would you describe you have that same determination, Johan? Or do
Yeah,
you approach it differently?
I do approach it differently. I would love to finish.
Mhm.
I would love to. Um, I do. I always picture. Like what it will feel like when I'm at the end. And that is something that I look forward to. Like what's it gonna feel like being able to complete it? What have other people felt like when they completed it? Um, just setting these little goals for myself and hopefully, getting to the end.
Yeah.
I'm pretty determined in a lot of areas, so um, I'm looking forward to that.
Do you guys have a predetermined plan should one of you have to get off? Is it if one gets off, we both get off, or do you have any idea what you might do there in that kind of situation?
No, we've already talked about it. And because this is something that like means so much to me, no matter what, even if he decides it's not for him, I plan to complete it. And I hope that he decides it's for him and we go the whole way. But if for some reason, he's gotten what he needs out of it and it's not for him, I still plan to complete it.
Right on. Well, it sounds like you both will. At least one of you will. I'm sure both of you guys will do great. And I'm very appreciative of your time. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah,
Um, both of y'all have definitely have a unique story, and I guess that a lot of that story is still to be written, and it'll be written on the AT this year. So I'm
oh,
excited for y'all, and I look forward to catching up soon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
awesome.
so
It's been
much.
so great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All
Appreciate you.
right.